The first thing I would say is I represent Rhode Island working families, and earned sick time legislation is our #1 priority this year. And I think you can see it's a priority for a lot of people. There were more than 100 people here tonight, many of them still here, in support of this. I just want to address a few things about the bill quickly. First, this is primarily a family economic stability issue. A couple of paid sick days may not be a big deal for many of us who make professional salaries, but the people who don't have them are disproportionately lower wage workers, and the choice to not go to work to take care of an ill family member might well be a week's worth of groceries. So it's a big deal for a lot of families and an extraordinarily important economic issue. I want to address a couple of things about the way the bill is crafted and why it's crafted that way. It doesn't include carve-outs because every worker needs this protection. You shouldn't have to be lucky and have a good employer or work for an employer of a particular size. Everybody gets sick, not only people who work for bigger, wealthier corporations. It's 7 days because I want to say a couple things about how many days it is and also about all the stuff we've heard about abuse. It's 7 days on purpose. It's not hard to imagine someone needing 7 days of sick time, but most people will not need that many. You heard Leanne talk about all the well child visits and all the childhood illnesses. It's pretty easy to imagine someone with 2 small children having 1 round of the stomach bug and 1 round of pink eye in a year and running through 7 days pretty easily. But the evidence is very clear from places that have passed this already that people do not use all the sick time that's available to them. They generally use it when they need it. In Connecticut, a study done where people had on average 7 days of sick time, people used on average 3. They're using it when they need it for the people who are important to them. I want to say a word about that because you've heard a lot about this family definition and how people might use it for just anyone. You still only get 7 days, so I'm sure that the number of people you would be willing to take a day off for is pretty limited. But the point of this family definition in this bill is that we don't know in this room what that list is for everybody. It's a small and pretty specific list. I could tell you who's on mine, who I'd be willing to take a day off work for. I am not legally related to all of them. None of you in this room are any of them. It's a pretty small list, and I think it is for most people. And I want, just in conclusion, I want to say lots of employers are doing this already. I think a number of folks have characterized us as demonizing businesses. Far from it. There are a tremendous number of especially small business owners who care deeply about their employees and are working hard to do the right thing. I'll just tell you a personal story. I grew up in a family where my dad ran a toy store, and I asked him once, this was about minimum wage actually, but it was about worker standards, and I said, why don't you pay I was a teenager, and so I was angry about it, and I said, why don't you pay your workers more? And he said, well, I'm competing with Walmart. And literally, that was a household conversation in our household about how much the Legos could be priced, because you could also buy them at Walmart. I'm competing with Walmart, and if they don't have to provide these benefits, then it is so hard for me. So I think doing this kind of legislation, making it a statewide standard, puts the employers who are doing the right thing or who aren't yet but would like to be on a level playing field with everybody else. And just quickly, it's time to do this. It's high time. Our neighbors have this legislation. There's tremendous support for it. I think you have this fun graphic about how many people support it in your packets. Take a look at that. And most importantly, it's urgent for a number of families, for people who are making terrible choices or who are going to work sick and feeling terrible about the coworkers or customers who they might be making ill in the process. So we certainly urge you to support 5413, and we thank you for your time and your patience tonight.
Thanks.